It's Kamala Harris that is Joe Biden's pick for vice president because apparently he was still in some sort of induced coma when he decided to make this pick. I do not see the logic behind it. It makes no sense to me. She's a radical. She is extraordinarily incompetent. She opens up so many avenues of attack for the Trump campaign. They must be just salivating at this point. There is a lot of dirt on this lady, like a lot of dirt on her. She said that she could ban assault weapons by executive order in open debate, had suggested that she would ban fracking, that she would get rid of your private insurance, she would get rid of plastic straws. She said we should decriminalize border crossings. She's a disaster area. She has said in public amicus briefs that the freedom of religion should basically be reserved to the private sphere. This is a lady who tweeted back in April of 2017, quote, "An undocumented immigrant is not a criminal." By the way, she was a Senate endorser of AOC's Green New Deal resolution. Also, she backs illegal immigrants receiving Medicare, so that's an exciting thing. Everybody's health care should be paid for by the American taxpayer, including people who are here illegally.
Let me just be very clear about this. I am opposed to any policy that would deny in our country any human being from access to public safety, public education, or public health, period.
Is she a radical? You bet your ass she's a radical. Here is Kamala Harris comparing ICE to the KKK.
I do not see a parallel between what is constitutionally mandated as it relates to enforcing the law.
Are you aware that there's a perception?
I see no.
Are you aware that there's a perception
that puts ICE in the same category as the KKK? Is that what you're asking me?
No, I'm very specific about what I'm asking you. Are you aware of a perception that the way that the discretion
I see no parallel.
I'm not finished.
I see none.
I'm not finished.
I mean, that's amazing. That's amazing. Also, she backs 70% tax rate. So if you think that the tax rates where you live are already too high, wait until you get a load of Kamala Harris endorsing AOC's 70% top tax bracket.
And she's promoting policies like saying that every single carbon emission in the country, every car, should be eliminated within the next 11 years, everything from a 70 to 80% tax rate.
I think that she is introducing bold ideas that should be discussed.
Let's look at those bold ideas, like 70% tax rates. By the way, she was a Senate endorser of AOC's Green New Deal resolution. Remember that time she went after Brett Kavanaugh? Just despicable. I mean, she was awful during the Kavanaugh hearings. She literally presented Republicans with a letter signed by a woman named Jane Doe, alleging that Brett Kavanaugh raped her in the back of a car. There were no details. There was no explanation of who the woman was. There was no way for them to actually pin down any of the allegations. Harris just passed along that letter. Washington Times reported that.
The only difference is that you have been accused of sexual assault. Do you agree that it is possible for men to both be friends with some women and treat other women badly? Did you watch Dr. Ford's testimony?
I did not. I plan to.
Thank you.
I mean, she was just awful. Just an awful person. Just an awful person. It is a pure play for Twitter blue checks and for the historic veneer. That's all this is. And all the headlines today are black woman nominated for VP. That's all he was looking for. The problem is that she is not a good candidate. She's a very, very bad candidate. She has a ton of vulnerabilities. Not only that, she has gone after him personally. She said, for example, that she believes accusers that Joe Biden made them feel uncomfortable. Right? She believes his sexual harassment accusers. This was Kamala Harris last year, guys, last year. Does anyone have a memory longer than that of a guppy?
I believe them, and I respect them being able to tell their story and having the courage to do it.
Do you believe that the vice president should enter this race?
He's going to have to make that decision for himself. I wouldn't tell him what to do.
She was calling on him. I mean, that's her telling him to leave the race, isn't it? And that's who Kamala Harris is. And yet he picked that. Get a food taster. Mr. Vice President, get a food taster like ASAP. And if you think that Trump is going to lay off of Kamala Harris's start in politics, namely the fact that she originally got a career boost by being the girlfriend of Willie Brown, you are wrong. Donald Trump ain't going to lay off that for one single solitary segment. Not for a second. Not for a second. I mean, if you didn't know that, Tiana Lowe writes for the Washington Examiner. She points out that Willie Brown, who spent a quarter of a century as the de facto royalty in California, he was 3 decades as a member of the California Assembly and 8 years as mayor of San Francisco, once carried out an open extramarital affair with a young prosecutor named Kamala Harris. When Harris was 30, she began dating Brown. He was in his 60s. Brown was married at the time. According to Reporting from the San Francisco Weekly, aside from handing her an expensive BMW, Brown appointed Kamala Harris to 2 patronage positions in state government that paid handsomely, more than $400,000 over 5 years. In 1994, she took a 6-month leave of absence from her Alameda County job to join the Unemployment Insurance Appeals Board. Brown then appointed her to the California Medical Assistance Commission, where she served until 1998, attending 2 meetings a month for a $99,000 annual salary. Do you think that Donald Trump leaves that stone unturned? I have serious doubts.
She was my number 1 pick, so I was a little surprised that he picked her.
And yet, the media love her. They're going to treat her with kid gloves. Now, here's the thing. They didn't love her when she was running. As soon as she dropped out, then they were like, oh man, isn't it sad that Kamala Harris is gone? She's awesome. We're going to miss her, aren't we? Well, yeah, no, nobody missed her, but she's back anyway.
Come on, man.